If this doesn't go well for the Jets, this has in that conversation for being one of the worst trades in the history of the NFL. The Jets traded for a guy that was a 2 out of 3 year MVP winning quarterback. If they don't get anything for it, this is going to go down, and Joe Douglas's resume is like a complete disaster. This is one of the best defenses the Jets have in the NFL. You're going to waste Sauce Gardner. You're going to waste Quinnen Williams. You're going to waste some of this defensive talent. Garrett Wilson is one of the best receivers. I'll stand on that. Not young, best.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Dan Orlovsky. Another hot take artist is back at it again. Now he claims that the Aaron Rodgers trade was one of the worst trades in NFL history. This is Sports Guy Talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Dan Orlovsky destroying Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. According to Dan Orlovsky, the Jets will have to be Super Bowl contenders with Aaron Rodgers as their starting quarterback in order for that trade to be good for them in the long term. However, the Jets have not made the NFL playoffs since the 2010 NFL season. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with the topic question. So, here it is. Was Dan Orlovsky right or wrong on his take about Aaron Rodgers? Of course, Dan Orlovsky was wrong with his take on Aaron Rodgers. This was another classic example of a guy going on TV and yelling out a hot take just for the sake of yelling out a hot take. Dan Orlovsky sounded like a guy that did not even believe in his own take. And I say that because I constantly saw Dan Orlovsky stuttering his words throughout that 37-second clip. Dan Orlovsky seems to have extremely selective memory, or at least a short-term memory of what bad trades look like. This is not even the worst trade the New York Jets have made in the past decade. You guys remember the Sam Darnold trade where the New York Jets gave up multiple draft picks to draft Sam Darnold with the number 3 overall pick in the 2018 NFL draft while there was still Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson available on the board? Yeah, I remember that. It seems like Dan Orlovsky has forgotten about that. This is not even close to the worst trade the New York Jets have made in their franchise history. Even if the New York Jets win 3 or 4 games this year, it's still not even the worst trade in NFL history because they didn't even give up all that much for Aaron Rodgers. All they had to do to acquire Aaron Rodgers was to swap first-round draft picks in 2023 and acquire a 2024 second-round pick. That is basically the main details of the Aaron Rodgers trade. On paper, that seemed like a pretty good trade for the New York Jets at the time. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and say that the Aaron Rodgers trade was a success for the Jets because it's obviously not a success. In fact, I actually think that the Jets are going to fail Aaron Rodgers and that they are going to be a major disappointment in the NFL this season. Defensive performance in today's NFL vary all the time, regardless of whoever you have on the roster. The Jets defense on paper has a lot of talent, but it is hard to maintain that kind of success long-term wise defensively, especially with all the rule changes happening in today's NFL. I believe the New York Jets defense is massively overrated. They will regress to at least a league average defense. I actually think the Jets will finish the season as a below average defense. You look at how they're playing against multiple superstar quarterbacks in the AFC, and I really believe that the number 2 corner for the New York Jets, he's going to get exposed a whole bunch. Yeah, Sauce Gardner is an amazing cornerback for the New York Jets, but you know what opposing offenses can do? They can just run the football right at the Jets, and more importantly, they can just target the other side of the field and work off of that. You guys also have to remember that Aaron Rodgers is a 40-year-old quarterback coming off of a serious Achilles injury that could have potentially been career-ending. To expect Aaron Rodgers to come back at the same level that he was pre-injury is ridiculous. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is one of my favorite quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. Aaron Rodgers is the reason why I was even interested in football to begin with. He's what got me interested in learning more about the game of football. But even I realize his best days are behind him. And the sooner people accept that about Aaron Rodgers, the better off they're going to be. You guys have to remember that Aaron Rodgers is going to be a shell of himself this upcoming season. It also doesn't help that Nathaniel Hackett will be the offensive coordinator of the Jets. Obviously, Nathaniel Hackett sucks as a coordinator. He shouldn't even have a job in the NFL to begin with. The only reason why he has a job is because he is friends with Aaron Rodgers. Matt LaFleur was the real mastermind of the Green Bay Packers offense, not Nathaniel Hackett. And Aaron Rodgers' game is going to get exposed big time this year for the New York Jets. As far as Dan Orlovsky's take of the Aaron Rodgers trade being the worst in NFL history, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's a horrible take. It has no substance in it whatsoever. Like I said earlier in the video, this is not even the worst trade the New York Jets have made in the past decade. Even if you don't want to use the New York Jets, fine. You can look at other trades in the NFL that happened. Did Dan Orlovsky forget the Deshaun Watson trade happened for the Cleveland Browns, where they gave up 3 first-round picks to acquire a potential sexual predator? And more importantly, in the case of football matters, Deshaun Watson is not even a good quarterback anymore in the National Football League. You look at how Deshaun Watson has failed to stay healthy year after year after year, and when he has played on the football field, he really hasn't been that good of a quarterback for them. So obviously that trade is already going to go down as one of the worst trades in NFL history. You also look at the Russell Wilson trade that happened for the Denver Broncos, where they gave up 5 draft picks and 2 players to acquire Russell Wilson, and then on top of that, they offered him $250 million in his contract extension. That was an absolute failure of a move by the Denver Broncos. They didn't get anything back in their investment, or at least anything positive on the return of Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson ended up being washed for the Denver Broncos, while the Seattle Seahawks essentially got to find another starting quarterback in Geno Smith, while being able to build the rest of the team around the Seahawks. Obviously, the Seahawks have been pretty competitive ever since they got rid of Russell Wilson. You also look at how the Trey Lance trade happened for the San Francisco 49ers that happened in 2021, where the 49ers gave up 3 first-round picks to the Miami Dolphins in exchange for the draft rights to Trey Lance. Obviously, Trey Lance is now fighting for his life as an NFL backup on the Dallas Cowboys. That trade was horrible for the 49ers. And then did Dan Orlovsky also forget the Bryce Young trade happened for my Carolina Panthers? You look at how the Panthers gave up several draft picks in DJ Moore to acquire the #1 overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft, just so they could select Bryce Young, a guy who I believe will end up being a generational draft bust. Therefore, the Aaron Rodgers trade, no matter what happens, it's not even going to go down as the worst trade in NFL history. It's not exactly like the New York Jets offered Aaron Rodgers a massive payday in order to go to the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers is only getting paid $37.5 million per year. So that means Aaron Rodgers is one of the cheaper starting quarterbacks in the National Football League. It also means that the New York Jets didn't give up their entire future for Aaron Rodgers. Now, do I think this move is going to work out for the Jets? No, I think this move is going to end up being a failure for them, but it's not because of what they gave up in the trade. Aaron Rodgers grew too old, too fast for the New York Jets. The New York Jets this year, they're not going to be a good football team whatsoever, but Dan Orlovsky's take on Aaron Rodgers is absolutely clownish. It's just a guy yelling out a hot take just so he can get some attention. I guess I got to give Dan Orlovsky credit for that, though, because now I got myself talking about Dan Orlovsky. That's what sports media is all about these days, and if you're an old head, you're probably not going to like the new sports media world, but it is what it is at this point. So that is why Dan Orlovsky was clearly wrong about the Aaron Rodgers trade, as that trade is not even close to being the worst trade ever in NFL history. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That will be for the @DustinAsTran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @DustinAsTran and Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @DustinAsTran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel Sports Guy Talking.